temperature transition. A lot of our customers, particularly custom molders who have jobs from all over the place, have problems going from something high temperature to low temperature, vice versa. We know a lot of companies use, say, a thermally stable polyethylene. It's safe at both temperatures, so they run that through and then raise the temperatures and start the next resin. It's not bad, but you will have a problem if you're not removing that first resin. For example, if you're going from a low temperature, kind of an extreme example, but if you're going from a PVC, say, to a PEEK, if you run that polyethylene and you have that layering effect that we showed before, you're not removing that PVC. It may look clean, you may be looking at only polyethylene coming out of the machine, but if you're leaving that PVC in there, and then you raise the temperature up to 700 degrees or whatever it may be, you know what's going to happen to that PVC. So it's very important to not only transition the temperature, but to remove that first resin completely. And of course it works the opposite way. If you're running a PEEK and going down, if that PEEK stays in the machine, it's going to be like concrete when you get to those lower temperatures. It's going to be a bear to try to remove. So it's difficult, even in commercial purge compound applications, to use something that has such a wide temperature range. If it's something narrower, say nylon down to ABS, for example, that's different. But if you've got something extreme, like this example, then you can use a two-step process. One, a compound specifically designed to clean at your temperature, raise the temperatures, transition into a different compound that's also thermally stable, then raise your temperatures up to PEEK or whatever you're running. But the trick is, get that first resin out. If you've got something burning or leaving deposits in there as you go up to a PEEK type temperature, and you start running that PEEK and get black specks, it's very, very expensive scrap, as you all know. Hot runner cleaning. We have a lot of companies that tell us, we'll use you for screw and barrel, but we're not putting anything in our hot runners. That mold costs us $200,000 to buy, to bring here. We're not putting anything in there. What I'd really like to leave you with is, if you're running hot runners, there are products out there that are safe and effective. If you don't believe us, I strongly recommend talk to your hot runner maker. A lot of them recommend commercial purging compounds specifically. We have a lot of customers who come to us and say, oh, such and such mold maker recommended you, or hot runner maker or machine maker recommended you. So talk to your hot runner supplier, ask them what they recommend. Very often they'll tell you, yes, use a commercial purging compound. And if you have any questions or concerns, or you're not quite, you don't have a lot of confidence to do it, call us, let us consult with you, we'll walk you through it. But simply put, there's two methods of hot runner cleaning: an open mold method, closed mold method. In the open mold, you're not actually making parts. In the closed mold method, you're actually making parts, in the case of Asaclean, with Asaclean purging compound. In the open mold on the left side there, we clean the screw and barrel first, as we talked about before. Then we put the nozzle back to the mold, extrude the purge compound through the hot runner system. Once it starts looking clean, then do air shots like we talked about before. And again, high pressure, high agitation, high speed. When you do those air shots, you're going to be forcing that purge compound through that hot runner system at a very high velocity that will be cleaning all the way through. Valve gates, of course, if you've got valves that you're worried about, you've got tight clearances, consult your manufacturer of your purge compound or your hot runners or your valves. Make sure your clearances are safe. But if you are careful about what you do, there will be absolutely no problem. We have hundreds of customers who are cleaning hot runner systems with our purge compound. And then finally, purge the purge. It's a two-step process. We talked about high speed, high agitation, high pressure, to remove the resin that you're running. Those three principles should be used to remove the purge itself. Because if you leave the purge compound in there, it's a contamination itself. So all those principles that you use to clean the machine, you need to use to remove the purge itself. Closed mold method. Again, clean the screw and barrel first with the nozzle pulled back from the mold. Once the screw and barrel is clean, extrude through the manifold, and then once that's clean, do your short shots. Now, if you have a very complicated mold, you're making a part with a lot of cutbacks and fins and fine areas, okay, you're not going to want to do a closed mold method, because of course your Purging compound is going to have a different shrink rate, it's going to have different properties than your resin's going to have. So if you have a very simple mold that doesn't have anything complicated about it, you can mold parts, do a short shot, just enough to push out for the pins to push out the Purging compound from the mold. Again, consult your purge compound manufacturer, or do some tests yourself if you're doing a regrind type of purge. But if you can use a closed mold method, again, you're increasing that pressure, because now you've got to push your purge compound into that mold. And you'll get cleaning at the valves, you get cleaning all the way through the hot runner system. And then finally, again, purge the purge. When you're done, use those same 3 principles that we talked about to remove the purging compound from your machine. And the last little bit here, some random ideas about purging. One, if you're using a commercial purge compound, I strongly recommend follow the directions given to you by your purge compound manufacturer. We have a lot of customers who try our material. They say, yes, it worked very good. Okay, please, tell us how you used it. Oh, we just set the purge button. We hit the purge button on the machine, it purged, it worked good. Okay, that's fine if you're happy with the results, but you're not going to get the most results, the best results from your purge compound if you're not following the directions. Every manufacturer has instructions that vary. Talk to them specifically about your application, get their directions and follow them. Once you've done that, in the next part, then you can start experimenting a little bit. So once you've done it the recommended way, talk to your manufacturer. They may say, okay, try a little bit less purge compound, try a little bit higher screw speed, or whatever it may be. And then customize it to your process. Everybody has a different machine, different resins, different temperatures, different products, different molds. So, you may need to customize a little bit to get the best results. Training, in the case of a commercial purging compound maker, have them train you. Ask them to come in and talk to the operators, or do a conference call if coming in is not something efficient. Because if you've got them training the operators, again, in purging, your operators are probably the most important variable. If they're not following procedures, if they're not doing what's recommended, doesn't matter how good your purge compound is, you're not going to get the best results. So do the training, train your operators, and then retrain them every 6 months or so. People forget, people tend to slide back into what they're used to doing. So until they're used to doing the procedures that you implement, you really need to enforce and reinforce, especially if you have turnover, how to properly purge. Then on a final note, we have customers sometimes worry, well, your product costs so much per pound, it's more expensive than our resin, we're worried, people are just going to dump it into the machine, they're not going to pay attention to minimizing what we use and so forth. We come up with all kinds of ideas. This is something we obviously can't control, but one idea we come up with is pre-measure containers, draw lines on it, say for this machine, for this change, fill this line, fill the container up to this line, put it in, and follow procedures. There's various ways you can do it, but setting procedures very carefully and specifically for your operators will help them maximize the efficiencies that you can get from a commercial purge compound. So that's it for today. I very much appreciate all of you coming by. I hope you've walked away from here with something that you can take tomorrow and start applying and start saving some money right away. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. If you have any questions or if there's anything more, you're welcome to ask at this time. If not, we're located at 3835, just around the corner. Please stop by. We have videos there you're welcome to take, literature. You can talk to our staff. So, thank you very much.